Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, President Buhari arrives in Paris to join over 50 world leaders for the One Planet Summit. EFCC takes fight against corruption to the streets of Nigeria, solicits the support of citizens in the crusade to tackle the menace. Court of Appeal strikes out corruption charges against Justice Hailazira Nganjua, says the NJC should discipline the judge first. EFCC describes ruling as dangerous. And suspected mastermind of an attempted terror attack at a New York City main bus terminal arrested.
On business news tonight, federal government plans to release 750 billion naira from the 2017 budget this week to fund capital projects.
On sports news, the UEFA Champions League round of 16 draw produces mouth-watering fixtures, with defending champions Real Madrid drawn against PSG of France and Chelsea getting FC Barcelona.
And from Abuja, Senate President calls for redefinition of Nigeria's policies for job creation.
We begin with the president's trip to Paris, the capital of France, where he is attending the One Planet Summit alongside other world leaders. Now, the summit is jointly organized by the United Nations, the World Bank Group and the French government in partnership with non-governmental organizations. Some of the key issues to be discussed at the summit include reversing the negative effects of climate change and how to pool public and private finance to support and accelerate efforts to fight climate change. At the summit, President Buhari will reinforce Nigeria's commitment to realizing the objectives of the Paris Agreement on climate change, which he signed on the sidelines of the 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly in 2016. The Court of Appeal sitting in Lagos has struck out the charges filed against the Justice of the Federal High Court, Justice Hailazira Nganjua, who is charged with collecting bribes to pervert the course of justice. In a judgment delivered by Justice Obaseki Adejumo today, the court held that the National Judicial Council must first perform its constitutional role of disciplining the judge and recommending him for prosecution before the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission can file charges against him. On June the 23rd, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission had arraigned Justice Nganjua for alleged unlawful enrichment to the tune of $260,000 and 8.65 million naira. The Commission claimed that the judge received the money through his bank account between 2013 and 2015. The Commission also said the sums did not correspond with the judge's salary and he could not explain the source of the funds. Justice Nganjua, who is attached to the Bayelsa Division of the Federal High Court, was arraigned on a 14-count charge before Justice Adedayo Akintoye of the Lagos High Court, sitting in the Igboshire area of Lagos Island. But Justice Akintoye withdrew from the case in November after allegations of bias were made against her by Justice Nganjua. Meanwhile, the EFCC says it will appeal against the ruling of the Lagos Division of the Court of Appeal, which held that the agency lacked powers to investigate or prosecute serving judicial officials, except where such officials have been dismissed by the NJC. In a statement, the Commission describes the ruling as a dangerous precedent that has no basis in law. It adds, quote, "Criminal trial takes precedence over administrative procedures, and it's strange that the Court of Appeal wants to put the cart before the horse. The appellate court simply wants to confer immunity on public offers from prosecution for corruption. It will not stand," end of quote. The anti-graft body expresses confidence that the Supreme Court will upturn the judgment. Now, many countries across the world are commemorating the International Anti-Corruption Day today, and Nigeria is not left out. The chairman of the Interagency Task Team on Corruption says that he's not left out as well. Now, he's also the Minister of Mines and Steel, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, and he's asking Nigerians to support the efforts of the government to rid the country of corruption. He wants Nigerians to shun impunity and stop protecting corrupt individuals.
The 9th day of December is designated the World Day Against Anti-Corruption by the United Nations. as a day to raise awareness and restate global commitment to the anti-corruption fight. Nigeria is not left out of the celebrations as it joins the rest of the world to mark the event with the theme Corruption, an Impediment to the Sustainable Development Goals. In attendance are players from different sectors and school children. To set the ball rolling, the chairman of the Interagency Tax Team on Corruption and Minister of Mines and Steel, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, is of the opinion that while it is no longer news that the current administration is serious about fighting corruption, it is equally important for Nigerians to contribute their quota to the fight to ensure that Nigeria does not continue to pay for corrupt practices.
For us to succeed in this fight, we must say no to impunity and eliminate the syndrome of sacred cows. As a nation, our culture and practice must continue to evolve to institutionalize the following. Laws must be effectively and efficiently implemented and dissuasive sanctions imposed. This will preserve the integrity of our systems and save us valuable resources for sustainable development.
Lending his voice, a representative of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime states that there must be a truly global stance and partnership for the fight against anti-corruption to succeed.
Anti-corruption partnerships formed with the private sector, civil society and academia can ensure that everyone is united in ending corruption. We must also be innovative and creative in ensuring that corruption remains high on the world's agenda.
The consensus at this event is that countries must unite and work against corruption to ensure development, peace and security world over. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
As clashes between herdsmen and farmers continue in parts of the country, the federal government has been challenged to come up with concrete solutions on how to end the violence. Now that's coming from the United Nations Resident Humanitarian Coordinator, Edward Callan, who is speaking at an event in Abuja to mark this year's International Human Rights Day. He says all persons have the right to life, irrespective of their religious or political affiliations.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights establishes the equality and dignity of every human being and stipulates that every government has a core duty to enable all people to enjoy all their inalienable rights and freedoms. All of us have a right to speak freely and participate in decisions that affect our lives. We all have a right to live free from all forms of discrimination. We have a right to education, healthcare, economic opportunities, and a decent standard of living. We have rights to privacy and justice. These rights are relevant to all of us every day and in all of our undertakings. They are the foundation of peaceful societies and sustainable development.
Residents of Anambra and Rivers states are reacting differently to the public agitation on the operations of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, by staging peaceful demonstrations on the streets of Awka and Port Harcourt. While demonstrators in Rivers are divided in their opinions, those in Awka, the Anambra state capital, believe that prescribing the police formation will have a negative impact on the nation's security.
What began as a trending hashtag on social media, End SARS Now, has snowballed into something more ominous, with demonstrations for and against the disbandment of the Nigeria Police Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. In Rivers State, these youths take to the streets of Port Harcourt to show their support for the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. But another group is of a different view. It wants SARS scrapped. Both sides take their concerns to the police headquarters in Rivers State.
We are calling for more police, we are calling for more SARS. They are saying as criminals that they don't want the police, they don't want SARS. And we're saying that only criminals are afraid of the police.
Rivers people are completely dissatisfied with the activities of SARS. Yes, so our youths, our women, our children, our men, and all citizens of Rivers State have this day rejected SARS.
Over to Anambra State, where hundreds of residents under the aegis Concerned Citizens and Non-Indigents make their way to the SARS headquarters in Oyi local government area, carrying placards and chanting slogans in support of the anti-robbery squad.
We tell SARS, no man, not even in Anambra State, every man will be on the run. And not only be on the run, even our brothers outside will not come. So if there is no SARS, there will be a lot of kidnapping, there will be a lot of criminal, there will be a lot of killings.
A letter is handed over to the police, meant for the Inspector General of Police, by the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on political matters.
Deliver this letter to Inspector General of Police. We don't want you to disappoint us.
The Deputy Commissioner of Police receiving the letter on behalf of the Commissioner for onward transmission to the Inspector General of Police thanks the people.
I want to thank you on behalf of the Commissioner of Police, Civil Government Buhari, for turning out this way today in support of SARS. SARS should continue.
Meanwhile, the Nigeria Police Force has made it clear that scrapping SARS is not on the cards. It insists the public shall take advantage of the Police Complaints Bureau to address any report against any SARS officer.
Now, a total of 1.046 trillion naira is what the Lagos State government is proposing to the State House of Assembly as its budget for 2018. The proposed budget, christened Budget of Progress and Development, is expected to consolidate the reform programs of the state government in the areas of infrastructure, education, transportation, security, health, and among others.
In 2018, economic affairs will continue to dominate and get the largest allocation of the budget, as there is a lot to be achieved in the coming year. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, it is our desire to maintain the tempo of continuous construction, rehabilitation, upgrading and maintenance of network of roads throughout the length and breadth of the state, including those within the boundaries of Lagos and Ogun states. With the favorable weather conditions prevailing now, this year's local government roads, totaling 181, will be commenced as contractors will be mobilized immediately. We will consolidate on the Lagos bus reform project with the introduction of high and medium capacity buses, construction and completion of bus depots at Oshodi, Antoni, Yaba, Maryland, and many more. We will vigorously pursue our planned direct intervention in the power value chain towards generating 3,000 megahertz embedded power for Lagos. The challenge of inadequate power supply must be resolved for our economy to perform optimally. And we believe the provision of this essential utility can no longer be left in the hands of the federal government alone to solve.
In part two, after the break, fresh challenge to the Nigerian Army on strengthening the country's unity as this year's Chief of Army Staff Conference opens in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. That's in a moment. Do join us again.